Well, hello everybody. So, I'm in the process of just giving them some scraps today. It's October the 5th. But the real reason I've come with the camera to show you is that I have eggs! The first eggs ever. As far as I can tell, there's only 2. But that's okay. They will start laying fairly regularly now, at least a few of the birds will. These look pretty tiny. Pretty small. But that's okay. They're just starting off, so small is okay. Beautiful. Alright, well that's all I wanted to show you. The first eggs from my chickens. Well, aren't you vocal? Hey birds, thanks for the eggs. Alright. Well, as you can see, it's apple season. And this is the apple tree in my backyard. And, well, it's one of 3 apple trees in my backyard. But there are a lot of really decent looking apples on this tree. And my intention is to make cider, so I'm going to pick some. Now there's a couple ways to do this. That is to harvest apples. I have a ladder, so I will use that as needed. But the first thing I like to do is give the tree a good shake and see what falls out. So I'm just going to set the camera up here. I don't know if it's going to work, setting the camera up like this. We're going to try it. We're going to see. I don't know how much that'll catch, but let's try it. Well, I got 2. That didn't work very well. So we are going to get the ladder and get up there. Oh, I see some really nice ones way up top. Never gonna get those, but that's okay. I'll get what I can, and I will show you the process of making cider. Look at these. Gorgeous. So when you're on a ladder on unstable ground, do be careful. Use caution, safety. Keep safety in mind. I'm a pretty safe dude, but ladder safety isn't really my thing. So don't do as I do. Be more careful when you're up on a ladder trying to pick apples. But rest assured, nothing bad happens. Don't pick apples off the ground if you can help it. Like, if you're picking them and dropping them to the ground, that's okay. But apples that have already fallen to the ground, they can have E. coli and nasty things like that, so just be aware. I'm going to be washing all of my apples, so I'm not too concerned. So washing the apples is, of course, an important step, and it should be done with a bit of, you know, gusto. Make sure they're nice and clean. That's the first step. The next step, of course, is to inspect the apples. I usually cut them in quarters just to make sure there's no, worms or rot inside the apples. You never know what you're going to get. They're like a box of chocolates. This is not an instructional video on how to make cider. I've only made cider once before, and it was palatable. It was something you could drink. I drank it. Sarah didn't really like it that much, but that's probably because it tasted a little bit more like vinegar than cider. Okay, I mean, you can't win them all. That was my first time. This time I'm hoping will be better. I'm using a better quality apple. The apples I was using before were really wild apples. These are only semi-wild. They're from trees that I planted. Or not I planted, but trees that were planted, so you can keep that in mind. Now, you also want to sterilize all of your equipment. The bowls that you're going to use, the carboy that you're going to ferment in, and all of the accoutrements that go with it. Next up, of course, is the juicing process. And that process involves, basically, I'm just using a juicer. I don't have an actual cider press, maybe someday. But I'm only making a small amount. I just like to make one little batch a year, just to hone my skills, if you will. So you get to juice these apples out. It's a lot easier to do in quarters. You get a lot of pulp, and it's messy. It's really messy, as you can see. And the juice doesn't always come out perfectly clear. There's often a lot of pumice in the juice. So I use a jam straining bag here to actually strain the juice to get all the pulp out. And you'll see that there's quite a bit. And the pumice that actually is rendered in the machine, the stuff that basically you just throw away, I strain that too because it is full of juice. I almost got, from just the pumice alone, about the same amount of juice as I did with the juicing process, so definitely worth doing. Once you get your juice together and you've poured it into the carboy, I usually add about a quarter cup of brown sugar, which I didn't get on camera, but that's just to help the yeast along. And then you have to pitch your yeast. Now, you want to make sure you're using a cider yeast. That's kind of the key. The last time I made it, I had to use a fine wine yeast that was, it wasn't great for the job, so I'm really optimistic that this batch will be better. But anyway, to pitch your yeast, if you get a package that's 5 grams, you want to use about 1 gram of that for this size. So I'm using about a quarter teaspoon here, and you just want to put it right on the surface. You're not stirring it in or anything like that. You're just pitching it on the surface and letting her go. There will be a separation of whatever's left of more solid material. That'll sink to the bottom, and eventually it'll kind of all clump together. And once it's fermented for the first round, we're actually going to put it into another carboy and leave all the sediment behind, so it will be a lot clearer. And I use an S trap at the top to allow bubbles and gases out, but not allow, fruit flies and bacteria in. And just to help with the seal, I'll usually take something like a clear alcohol, like gin, for example, in this case, and just pour that into the S trap at the top, and that just basically acts as a antibacterial, filter, lets the air out and the gases out, but doesn't let bacteria in. Well, I'll keep you up to date on this progress. This is a long-term project. It usually takes a few months, but I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.